Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the Village of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for December 16th, 2020. Before we get underway, I'd just like to do a few things. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Member John Farrell, if you can lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will, as I said, this is the meeting for December 16th, 2020. Before we get into the mechanics of the meeting, I'd like to make two announcements. One is to congratulate our past member, Frank Siebert, for his appointment to the Board of Trustees of the Village, and also Deputy Mayor at the same time. We thank Frank for his contributions to this board. He was always very diligent and really was a great contributor to what we're trying to do here. And at the same time, I'd like to welcome two new members, Nancy Iglesias Gillen, and also Carl Anderson. I welcome them. I look forward to working with them on the issues that are before us each month. They are long-term people who are involved in the community of Babylon in many various ways. They've contributed greatly over the years as they've been here. And as I said, I look forward to their input, their counsel, and their involvement in this activity that the Zoning Board of Appeals. So with that, I will then get on to the mechanics of the meeting. We have 5 applications that appear on the docket this evening, and we will hear them in the order in which they appeared in the public notice. We will read each application, and then we'll ask the applicant to come on board to explain the variance they're looking for, and at the same time, take any questions that the board sees fit. We will keep the applications open for 7 days in order to allow any member of the public who wants to be able to make any comment to get it to the clerk's office, care of this board, and we'll take that under consideration. Normally, it does not take a very long period of time for us to make a decision on an application. Legally, we have 60 days to make a decision. After the docket, we feel the docket's complete. Sometimes that means getting additional information from the applicant. Other times it means the board doing some additional research on a particular issue. So the 60-day period doesn't commence until we feel that we have a complete docket to consider. Any member of the public who's interested in the disposition of an application can get that information by contacting the clerk's office. We release that right after we release the information to the applicant themselves. I think that's probably about it. So, I have one other announcement. I was remiss in making a third announcement before we get started, and that is I'd like to also congratulate our member Jeff Weber, who has been named now as the secretary of the Board of Trustees of the Board of Appeals. So congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well deserved, and look forward to your continued contributions. So thank you. So with that, let's get underway and application number 1.
Okay. All right. Application number 1, application of Chester and Mary Broman, 125 Millbury Road, Babylon, New York, for permission to maintain a fence on the premises located at 125 Millbury Road, Babylon, New York, requiring a variance for a fence varying in height from 3 feet to 6 feet on top of a 3-foot retaining wall when 6 feet is the maximum height permitted. Property is located in resident A11 district, Suffolk County Real Property Tax Map, District 0102, Section 15, Block 2, Lot 38. application made in accordance with sections 365, 35, 365, 13, and 153.1.
Carol Golden has been added to the meeting. Just waiting for her to unmute or start video.
I have Chester Broman on the line and he'd like to speak. Actually, he could not get in through the Zoom. Go ahead, Chester.
Okay, can you hear me? You know, my house is lower than all the houses on the other block. And when you built the new house for me next to his house is 5 feet higher than my house, 4 feet higher than my house. So I built the wall, and he graded the topsoil just about to the top of the wall because he was filling it. But his back porch is up in the air for 4 feet above my yard, and my yard is 10 feet below that. Some areas of my yard, so I got to put fences up, and I got shrubs growing now. But I just thought we ought to get one of the neighbors was disgruntled with what I was doing, but he must have turned me into you for having a too high a fence. So I don't know what you want me to do.
Okay.
The best thing I could do is knock the house down and fill up the lot so I can fill up to the grade of everybody else's house, and then I wouldn't need high fences. That's probably the simple solution.
Mr. Broman, so you have, as I was able to see it, you have, it's not the whole distance of the fence. You have maybe 6 sections that you went up?
Yes. Yeah, because his back porch overlooks my pool. And if I
Yep.
could put a fence up, when he's sitting up there having a party on his back thing, and I'm in my swimming pool, I'm looking at him.
Yep.
Because his house is so much higher than our yard.
Yep. Okay.
And it's the same on the other side. The other house, they have a porch, and when I built that fence, I've done the same thing. And that, that's, you gotta have some kind of privacy.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't belong living there.
Okay. But the north side is a little bit higher, no?
I don't think so. I don't
No?
know. But I hired a surveyor for $5,000 to measure everything by the inch all the way around. And then they tell me it's the inside measurement that's where you're in violation, not the outside measurement. Because his property is high, we probably don't have a violation. But on the inside, my property is 5 feet lower than the top of my wall. Never mind my fence.
Yeah. Okay. I understand.
But my yard's been there for 40 years.
Yep. We're familiar with
I wish my house was 5 foot higher. But, the one storm I got, I was within inches of getting it on the first floor of my house.
Right.
But,
Right.
but
Okay.
the yard was built low. We done all of that 20, 30 years ago.
Yep.
But
So
anyhow,
you're not planning on doing anything different than what's there right now?
no, I'm happy right now.
Okay. Okay. That's the only question I had. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Broman? No? Okay.
I don't have any questions.
What? I'm sorry.
No, he doesn't have any.
Oh, no, I thought he said something else. Okay, thank you, Mr. Broman. We'll get back to you soon.
All right, so he'll be notified whether it's approved or not approved?
Yes. Yeah, he'll get notification from us.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you now.
Okay, I'm going to bring in the second speaker, Doug Smith.
I think you're on mute, Mr. Smith.
Unmute. Yes, you too. Okay, yeah.
Very good. This is Doug Smith, 57 Melbury Road. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. This wall and fence was constructed about a year or two ago. And my concern, of course, is that now bordering my property, which is 200 feet away from this fence, I have a similar situation. And the property at 63 Melbury, I'm 57 Melbury, has constructed a wall, a retaining wall in addition. And of course, I don't know what kind of precedent we're setting here. I'm concerned that now Mr. Broman has constructed a year or two ago this wall, which of course is well over the requirements of 153-1. Now I'm concerned about what would happen if a similar fence was constructed on my bordering property to the south and 63's property to the north. And I am concerned that such a fence, now this fence in reference to Mr. Broman's property is in reference to his grade is probably, as he said, 10 or 15 feet above his grade. I'm concerned about a owner of the property to the south of me, 63 Melbury, at some time constructing such a fence again. And then I know that you're in the application, it says to maintain. That confuses me. If that can be explained to me a little bit.
Sure.
Thank you.
That means, I'll take that first. That means that it exists today. Doesn't mean it was legal. It just means it exists. So Mr. Broman built it. We did not know about that at the time. And that's why it says maintain. As far as setting a precedent, with these kinds of situations, we've been seeing them, more and more as people, especially further south of you, much more so as you get closer to the bay, where people had to raise, their properties as well as their houses after Sandy. And so we've been looking at these on an individual basis. This would not be setting any sort of a precedent for someone else to say, yeah, that's what this is, and therefore it's codified. It's not that kind of a decision. But let me ask you, do you have the same situation in close proximity to that neighbor? And is the differential in property height about the same, or is it different?
No, Mr. Broman's different, as I can just view it as I view it from the side street. I would say Mr. Broman's property is very low, of course, and he built this wall a year or two ago. And the grade to him down towards his swimming pool, the wall possibly and the fence may be as much as 10 or 12 feet higher than his average grade. The property that it borders on is probably, the fence is 6 or 8 feet because the grade has been pushed up against the retaining wall or the wall and the fence, that's been regraded. This property, Mr. Broman sold this property to his neighbor back, I'm going to say, 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
Mr. Broman owned the adjacent property to the north of him and sold it to the 65 Melbury.
Yep. Okay. So your situation, I guess the short answer, your situation is a bit different with respect to that other property. You don't have that differential that he has on his side.
No, my differential isn't as much.
Yeah.
The retaining wall that's been built on the south side of my property is about 3 feet high.
Right.
There is no fence on the top of it at the present time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm comfortable with my neighbor to the south where, we were conversing all the time, and he's considerate of my view down Foster's Creek and not to obstruct that. We have a good rapport.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again,
But
nobody,
you never know down the line if somebody sells and, a precedent's been set 10 years from now, someone else comes along and tries to build a fence, 6, 8, 10 feet high. I'm just listening and observing what you're doing.
Right.
I think the important thing to realize here is that in relation to the neighbor's property, the fence is only going to be 6 foot high in this case. If you're on Mr. Broman's property, it'll appear to be, the 9 feet because it's the 6 feet on top of the 3 foot retaining wall. But on top of the property that the fence borders, where the retaining wall is level and grade, the fence is only going to be 6 foot, which would ordinarily be permitted. So assuming Mr. Broman's property was on the same grade, he'd be able to erect a 6 foot fence that would have the same appearance as the fence that he's proposing now. It just happens to sit on top of a retaining wall. So I think that's really the distinction. I don't think this board would allow somebody to build an 8 foot fence on an even grade with the adjoining neighbor. I don't think we've ever done that.
No.
So I
It's
think
come up.
that's important to consider.
Yeah, I agree. It's come up and we have not.
Right.
We have never done that. And I've been sitting here a long time. So as John said, legally, you can go down the side yard with a 6 foot fence. That's what you're legally able to do. Once you get back behind the house line, and the back as well, a 6 foot fence. That's the village code. So I don't, I'm not worried about setting a precedent for that. I don't think you should be either.
Very good.
Okay.
Do
Thank
you have a survey of the fence and its height, or don't you? Was that submitted?
We do. At the village hall, we can probably get you something.
No, it's not necessary. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we do. He's given us, as he said before, I don't know if you heard him when he was on, he had the whole thing
Yes, I
circled
did.
and everything else. So, yeah. And you can see it. I mean, it's not the whole fence. It's there's a section of it that's higher. So, okay.
Yes, I understand totally the problem that has been created by raising up the property of 65 Melbury in reference to Mr. Broman, and I'm sympathetic to his problem. Agreed with him. The property is looking down into his backyard and his swimming area and that type of thing, and
Right.
it's a sensitive problem that has been created. I'm considered about in the future what might happen on my southern border and the northern border to 63 Melbury, which is a 200-foot border.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I appreciate your input.
Thank you very much.
You have a good evening. Okay.
Okay. Application number 2, application of James Bowler, RA 85 East Main Street, Bayshore, New York, 11706. Agent for owners George and Sharon Costa, 5 Midway Street, Babel, New York, for permission to construct an addition on the premises located at 5 Midway Street, Babel, New York, requiring variances to reduce the front yard setback from 30 feet as required to 23.8 feet proposed, reduce the side yard setback from 6 feet required to 0 feet proposed, and to reduce the total side yard setback from 20 feet as required to 15.3 feet proposed. Property located in Residence A9 District, Suffolk County Real Property Tax Map District 0102, Section 18, Block 2, Lot 39. Application made in accordance with Sections 365.14 and 365.35.
Good evening.
Hello.
My client, George Costa, would like to start. Oh, there you are, George.
Yep, I'm right here.
Great.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. As stated, my name is George Costa. My wife Sharon and I and our 3 children have resided at 5 Midway Street since 2008. We are seeking approval so we can build a 2nd-story addition and add a few bedrooms upstairs. We are in need of the application because what I understand is that our lot is currently an existing non-conforming lot. The zoning conforming, when the house was built, we were conforming. The current rules state that the lot needs to be at least 9,000 square feet. We are 7,000, and the lot width needs to be 85. We're 70. All of this is pre-existing before the zoning code changes. The addition is going to be stacked in the current footprint. We are not changing the footprint of the house whatsoever. I think that the 6-foot setback to reducing to 0 may have something to do with the shed that's on the north side of the property. That's along the property line, which we will absolutely move to make sure we're in compliance with that. That's not an issue whatsoever. And again, I'll just state that we are staying within the current footprint. We are not looking to move outside of the current footprint. We're just simply stacking across from north to south, east to west rather, on the north side of the house. And the frontage along the street is really constructed just for curb appeal. There's no additional living space up there. It's just a bumped up roof and some windows along the roof line. So any questions or concerns, please let me know.
Well, you covered that pretty well. Like you said, the setbacks, so the front yard setback, and at least the one side is all pre-existing from when the house was originally constructed. It's true. And you're saying you're going to move that shed that's, I guess, on the south side, on the north side. I'm trying to look at
the northeast corner.
Right, northeast corner. And where are you going to put that?
I could move it into the back corner, back into the furthest southeast corner to make sure that we're in compliance.
Yeah, we're going to need to know where that's going.
Okay.
Whether or not that's going to create some other variance we don't have right now. And the issue, we don't want to see a 0 lot line.
Right.
The issue with us with sheds, besides their size, is the staying enough away from the property lines and fencing so that you can maintain the back of the fence. That's the issue.
Right.
I like to see them stacked up against the fence, and then, nobody ever gets back there, and you can't paint it, you can't do anything with it. So to keep that in mind.
Sure.
We'll need to see where that goes to know what else might be required, right? Because in all likelihood, I don't know exactly where you're going to put it, but you may be within the rear yard setback. I'm not sure. So
right. No, I mean, we would move it to wherever we need to make sure we're conforming.
Okay. Okay. So you don't think you're going to need us at all then? You'll stay conforming with.
Absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha.
Absolutely. Gotcha. We'll make sure that we follow the current zoning rules
and as you said, you're just going up.
Correct.
And I know the height's less than are allowed FEMA plus 30, right? I saw that on the plans. And so when are you looking to do this?
As soon as we can get the contractor scheduled. I'm sure it's not until the spring. By the time it's going to be late winter, early spring, by the time we're able to get a contractor in and scheduled. So,
okay. So you can get us another set of plans that just show where you're going to put this, where the shed's going to be.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Anything, we'll amend the application, but then we'll just take out the piece for the setbacks. And as long as it's within the zoning on the rear yard and the side yard, then we're good with that. We'll just look at the other stuff, which is all pre-existing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Gentlemen, anybody have any questions, or lady on our side?
No.
Okay, I think I think we have a plan.
All right.
So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You'll get that to the clerk's office, and we'll move ahead.
Okay, excellent.
Great.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I don't think there's any comments. I don't see anybody waiting on that one. Okay.
Okay, application number 3, application of Claire Greco Formisano, CKG Permit Services, PO Box 87, Bellport, New York 11713. Agent of owner Stephen and Kimberly Zorner, 50 St. Palms Place, Babylon, New York, for permission to install a 12 by 20 foot in-ground pool on the premises located at 50 St. Palms Place, Babylon, New York, requiring variances to reduce the side yard setback from 6 feet as required to 5.5 feet proposed, reduce the rear yard setback from 5 feet as required to 2 feet proposed, and maintain pool equipment in both the rear and side yard setbacks. Property located in Residence A7 District, Suffolk County Real Property Tax Map, District 0102, Section 14, Block 3, Lot 96. Application made in accordance with Sections 365.15 and 365.35.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I see only Mr. Weber on the screen. Good evening. I'm Claire Greco Formisano, agent for the owner, president of my company, CKG Permit Service, representing the application before you this evening. I'd like to read a prepared statement, if I may, which I think covers every aspect of the application, and then open it up to the board for any questions. So the application before you...
Sounds good.
Is that... Okay,
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. The application before you this evening is for a proposed 12 by 20 pool and an 8 by 16 lean-to style shed and pool equipment to be located in the northwest corner of the property. Our subject lot is a 56 by 100 parcel, and with the house placement, we've created a usable side and rear yard of about 44 by 30 feet in size. We worked extensively with the pool company to try and come up with a very complementary application that's harmonious to the community and to the neighborhood and so on, and is not too severe in our variance requests. And I think we've, well, I hope the board agrees, but I think we've done a good job of doing that. I've provided the board with a series of photos of the site, and you can see that we have 6-foot fencing along stump arms, which will serve as the 6-foot safety barrier for the purposes of the pool, but will also provide and screen the pool from the pedestrian traffic, should there be any along stump arms. We've positioned the shed with a 2-foot rear yard setback, such that we can maintain the property behind, walk around, and so on and so forth. And the pool equipment is proposed to be located in the northwest corner at an offset of about 7.5 feet. The 6-inch variance request that we have for the pool merely allows us to keep it in line somewhat from an aesthetic standpoint. It's a young couple that own the house. They find themselves expecting their first child, I think, within the next 6 to 8 weeks or so. And given these COVID times, their request at this point, obviously, is to put a pool in, because it would seem that we're all spending that much more time at home. Our practical difficulty in the situation is created in that we have a corner parcel that's somewhat tight on the side yard setbacks, although the setbacks that we're requesting are fairly commonplace in the neighborhood based on what I could see on some of the Google Earth photos that I was able to visualize. Is there any questions specifically the board have that I could cover at this point?
I got a couple. The shed, you're replacing the existing shed with an 8, or proposing to replace it with an 8 by 16 foot shed? That's correct. I submitted 2 surveys, one depicting the site as currently is, and one where I've marked it up as the proposed structure. Yes. But I didn't see any kind of a plan for the shed. How high is the shed? What's the height of the shed? The shed is going to be a maximum of 12 feet in height. 12 feet? Okay. And I'll ask you, how did you determine to put the pumps in the lower or the upper left-hand corner of your property? Northwest corner, truthfully, that was based on guidance from the pool company, based on the layout of the lot. Specifically, I mean, from a practical standpoint, it's a good location. The adjacent parcel, which fronts onto Virginia, has a shed in that same back corner. So in essence, our pool equipment will be sandwiched between our shed, the fence, and their shed.
And I felt that, as did the pool company, that that was probably the best location for it to mitigate any potential noise or,
Yep.
issues with it.
Okay. And what's the new shed going to be used for?
Well, as you can see, there's a small piece of property. It's going to house what will be children's equipment and so on, the pool equipment in the winter, whatever outdoor furniture they have. There won't be any plumbing or heating or anything along those lines in the shed. No bathroom, no running water, nothing like that. It'll serve as a storage facility out of season, and it'll serve as the same presumably during the season.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Anyone else have any questions?
I got nothing.
Okay. Mrs. Owner, looks like he's ready to say something. I'm not sure. Oh, I think you're on mute. Okay, then you'll hear from us shortly.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Okay, application number 4, application of Helene and Gordon Field, 21 Nearing Avenue, Babylon, New York, for permission to maintain a 10 by 20 foot addition to an L-shaped ranch on the premises located at 21 Nearing Avenue, Babylon, New York, requiring variances to reduce the total side yard setback from 20 feet as required to 18.2 feet proposed, and not maintain a 3-foot landscaping barrier between the property line and the driveway. Property located in Residence A9 District, Suffolk County Real Property Tax Map District 0102, Section 12, Block 1, Lot 76. Application made in accordance with Sections 365.14 and 365.35.
Hello?
Okay, there you go.
Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry, we had a problem with the phone.
No, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I'm Gordon Field. With the extension, as far as it was, again, the L-shaped ranch, just to maintain that. And the side, this is the way the house was built as far as the side yard. We didn't do anything to make it less, and we had our new survey done, and it's the same dimensions and everything as when we bought the house back in 1995. And the driveway with no landscape to the adjoining driveway, that's the way we bought the house, and 80% of the houses in this area, the driveways are attached. You know, we just did a brand new driveway too with the brick and the blacktop, but that's the way it was before that. Blacktop to the next door is cement. There was no 3-foot landscape in between the driveways.
Okay. So Mr. Field, when you purchased the house, so you put the addition on?
Yes, that was back about 17 or 18 years ago.
And nobody got a permit? Nobody got a CO?
Well, the construction company that we used said as long as you're within the footprint, that wouldn't be a problem. I had no idea, I came from Queens, so I had no idea. And we extended the L-shaped ranch and it just goes straight across.
Right. Who was the construction company?
QZO.
QZO?
They're out of business now, from what I understand. That was the name.
I can understand that.
Why?
Or in jail. Could be in jail.
Well, they did a lot of houses around here, and that's how I found out about them. But I guess it's a little too late for that now.
Yeah. Okay, so how'd you find out about us?
Well, we were in the process of selling the house, and they said we needed a new survey, which we got. We got the electrical certificate for the work that was done because it was just electric in the extension. There was no bathroom or anything like that.
You have underwriters. Underwriters gave you the,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
And then has the building inspector been in at all to inspect the place to make sure it's safe?
From the village?
Yeah.
No, not yet. No.
Okay. Because he's going to have to do that as part of this whole thing too.
Right.
Comes in and basically takes a look, make sure, they didn't build it on, 36-inch on center, 2x4s or something,
Yeah. No, I understand.
You know the routine.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Okay. You answered all the questions I had. Anybody else?
Covered mine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Nancy, anything?
No.
Okay. All right. Mr. Field, you will hear from us shortly.
Okay. My wife also did send some pictures in. I don't know if you guys have them.
We did.
Oh,
we
okay.
we saw the pictures of the driveway. We saw the pictures of the addition. She showed us what it looked like before, other houses in the area.
Okay.
It was, it was a nice job. It just, I wish I would have had a permit,
I wish we would have known that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
All right. Very good. You'll hear from us.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too now.
Okay, our last application number 5. Application of 38 James Street Court, P.O. Box 507, East Islip, New York 11730, for permission and use variances as needed to change the use from medical offices to a mixed use of personal and professional services and residential dwellings, and for area variances to exceed the maximum of 2.5 stories and a height of 30 feet to 3 stories at a height of 36.7 feet as proposed. To reduce the minimum side yard setback of 5 feet is required to 2.5 feet proposed. To reduce the front yard setback from a minimum of 25 feet as required to 22.2 feet as proposed. To maintain parking areas between the street and the building line, and to maintain paved surfaces in the front yard in excess of 50%, all in connection with a proposal to alter an existing non-conforming office building to expanding the total building area from approximately 3,524.88 square feet to approximately 5,738.68 square feet, inclusive of expanding the ground floor, from approximately 1,524.7 square feet to approximately 1,998.8 square feet, and the third floor from approximately 619.2 square feet to approximately 1,819.94 square feet at the premises located at 38 James Street, Babylon, New York. Property located in Residence A4 District, Suffolk County Real Property Tax Map District 0102, Section 10, Block 4, Lot 40. Application made in accordance with Sections 365-4, 365-16, 365-35, and 365-53A.
Am I on?
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, here I am. Good evening. Pleasure to be with you here tonight on this snowy night. My name is Raymond Justo at 715 South Country Road, West Bay Shore, New York, for the applicant, 38 James Street Corp. Also participating tonight is the principal of my client, Michael Maffetone, as well as our architect, Brandon Hamchuk, and they'll both be speaking tonight. I'm just going to speak generally about the application and the proposal, and then turn it over to Brandon and to Mike. First, I'd like to tell you about the existing structure. It's a 3-story building that was used for medical purposes since 2001. The structure actually was built prior to 1931. It's 3 stories. In 1954, it was used as a boarding house. Later in 1988, it was used for Weight Watchers, believe it or not. 1984, the zoning for the property was changed from retail business to residential A4, so the structure became a non-conforming use in the area. In 2001, this board actually granted an application for the property to be used as for medical offices. And my client actually just recently purchased the property from that owner who was using it for medical offices. Basically, in general terms, our client's proposal is to create 3 apartments on both the 2nd and 3rd floor. That's a total of three 2-bedroom apartments. On the 1st floor, the proposal is to use it for a Club Pilates. We have executed a lease with Club Pilates, and it obviously is subject to approval from the village for the uses that we're contemplating. It's really important for the board to note that the Club Pilates, their business practices and their use of the property are quite unique and unusual. They have a limited hours of operation. They operate from 6:30 a.m. Each day to 11:30 a.m. and then they're closed, and then they reopen from 4:30 to 8:30 each day. So every day they'll be closed after 8:30 p.m. They will not be using the parking lot. The particular franchisee that we've signed a lease with owns other locations in both Massapequa and Wantagh, and they've been quite successful. It's very popular. We think it would be a great addition to the village to have a Club Pilates. Another important aspect of how they operate their business is that they will never have more than 13 persons occupying the retail portion of the premises at any time. They have 12 clients and 1 instructor. That's the most they will have at any one time on the 1st floor of the property. So that's 13 persons max for the retail portion, and then we have 3 2-bedroom apartments. So we believe that the need for parking is not as great as it would be otherwise for another type of retail use. The board should also note there's a municipal lot adjacent to our property and just to the west of our property that gives even greater parking if necessary. You're going to hear from our architect, Brandon, that technically we need 34 spaces. We only have 22. But we believe that because of the unique business plan of Club Pilates, the limited number of persons that are present at any time on the retail portion, their limited hours of operation, and the fact that there's a municipal lot, we believe that 22 spots are more than enough to satisfy the requirements for this property. We know of at least 7 other properties in the village that have a 3-story residential over retail use. I can give you their addresses if you want for the record, or I can supply that if you'd like. I know that most of them have little, if any, parking, not nearly as much as 22 as we have on our site. I submitted to Christina yesterday a rendering of the structure as
we have that. Yep.
And
just for the record, many of those structures that you're talking about height-wise were all built prior to zoning.
Yes, as was this one.
Yeah, but the difference being that in the retail zone, retail stores can use municipal parking as part of their parking requirement. When you have a professional services business, it has to be its own parking. It cannot use municipal parking to make up the difference. That's the difference in the code.
Okay, I understand. But we think even without the municipal, we believe under these circumstances with the limited hours of operation that we'd have more than enough spaces. It's quite a unique situation. You know, with the rendering that we've shown to you, we really do not see a negative impact in the area. The premises have been used as a non-conforming business use for many, many, many years. And we actually think that this structure with its improvements is actually going to be a positive impact on the area. My client, the principal of my client, Mike Maffetone, has built other structures in the village. He has a strong track record with the village. And with that said, I think Mike would like to say a few words at this juncture.
Yes, how are you guys doing? Chairman, board members, thank you for listening to us today. I do own a couple of other buildings in the village, 10 Shore Road and 172 Fire Island Avenue. Both were dilapidated buildings when I purchased them. This building I would not consider to be dilapidated, but I would consider it to be a little blighted. The medical use, the doctor that I purchased it from has not done any renovations to it in 19 years that he's been there. If you see the rendering that we've prepared, that is an exact rendering, colors, roof lines, gables, everything to the T that I would like to do to this building. As Ray had said, in 1954, this was a boarding house. 1988, it was Weight Watchers. Those two uses combined actually makes them up the mixed use that we're looking for. And just to add to what Ray said about the Club Pilates franchisee, he has over, he has 12 what are called reformer machines. And I had spoken to former mayor Ralph Scordino about this before he passed. And his one question was how would it impact fitness incentive? Because fitness incentive is one block away. And the answer is that it wouldn't. Fitness incentive doesn't have reformer machines. They do yoga, not Pilates. And if any of you know anything about the reformer machines, it's a unique type of a workout. So I'm being told. I've never done it before. My wife does it, so I really don't know what it's like. But I do know that it wouldn't have any impact on the neighboring fitness incentive. So that's something important to note. So if nobody has any questions for me, I'm going to turn it over to our architect, Brandon, and he's going to go over, more specific details as far as the variances that we're looking for and the details of the building.
Okay. Before he does, maybe Mr. Maffetone, I got one or two.
Sure.
So a lot, I guess, a lot depends on this relationship that you have with the Pilates group. How long, you said you executed the contract?
We've executed a lease with Club Pilates already, contingent upon us obviously getting the variances. Right. So we've done so very recently. I've gone to his other locations and I've spoken to some of his instructors, his managers. I've done a lot of due diligence and it seems like a very, very lucrative thing. They have 650 locations nationwide. Like I said, it is a franchise. They're looking to expand more in Long Island. I believe there's 3 or 4 franchisees in Long Island. He owns 2 others, Montauk and Massapequa. And I personally like the guy. He's a straight shooter. He's a good businessman. He's complied with anything that we had to go through with our lease and everything else with the building. He's a laid back guy, and I think he'd be a really good addition to the building.
What's the term of the lease?
Well, we have I believe we have a 10-year with 2 5-year options.
That's correct.
Yeah, we have a 10-year with 2 5-year options. Ray did the lease for me. Yeah, 10 with 2 5s.
Is he currently operating under COVID
Yes.
patients?
Yes. Yes, he is.
He wasn't closed down at all?
I don't know. I think in the beginning he was closed down in the first couple of months, but since he has a limited number of clientele, he has 12 people per 1,500 square feet. This space he would be taking from us is 1819. So, you know, they're able to spread out, and I don't know the specifics of how much he was closed. To be honest with you, I could ask him, but I know he's open currently.
Okay, I'll let you go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Brandon.
Good evening, members of the board and chairman. Okay, so yes, we are taking an existing building and we are increasing the first floor, as was mentioned. We're increasing it by 474 square feet. And this is going to house Club Pilates. On the second floor, which is currently existing, we are increasing the footprint about 488 square feet. And that is going to set up one of 3 apartments. The first apartment on the second floor is a 2-bedroom with 1 bathroom and 879 square feet. Because of the uniqueness of this existing building, the second dwelling unit is going to be split into a duplex. So part of it is on the second floor and the second part is going to be on the third floor. So with that, the second dwelling unit is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath because we have a little more room, and it's going to be 1,210 square feet. So this is going to, again, bring a nice professional couple that it needs to get to the train. Again, they have enough space within this duplex, and even any of these dwelling units to really.
Brandon, if I can interrupt for 1 second, just about the apartments. And so, gentlemen and ladies, my other 2 buildings in the village, 10 Shore Road and 172 Fire Island Avenue, those are multifamily as well. They're fully occupied. They have been since I've owned them. I've owned Fire Island Avenue for about 4 or 5 years, 10 Shore Road for about 2 or 3 years. I have waiting lists to get into these buildings. They're renovated just as nicely as this, as this rendering that you see in front of you. And I go through a very, very, very strict vetting process for my tenants. I take, only professionals, 700 plus credit scores. So we're not looking to make these apartments any type of Section 8 or, low income housing or anything like that. We're looking for professionals that are going to take the train to the city, or young professionals in finance, or I have a few police officers that are tenants of mine. I have a few nurses, teachers. So those are the tenants that we're looking for. I don't allow pets. So I just wanted to point that out while Brandon was speaking about the apartments and about the size of them and whatnot. So they are fairly larger apartments. But I don't have any children in any of the apartments that I have in the village. But like I said, we vet the tenants very, very strictly. So I just wanted to just add that point.
Okay, so yes, so the second floor will have, again, technically 1.5 dwelling units. The third floor will have 1.5 as well. And the third floor will have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath as well, 867 square feet. Let's see. So now, as far as the front yard setback, the existing building, the only reason we are encroaching that 3+ feet is because we're proposing a front porch on James Street side that wraps around to Totten Street. Again, this is, to make the building a little more welcoming, and give it more curb appeal as well. So that is why we are requesting that front yard setback. There is also a section in the building or in the zoning code that states on a corner lot, you only need 15 feet. But however, I marked it on there to 22.2. As far as the side yard variance, the building itself does not encroach into the side yard, but we are proposing to put mechanical HVAC units in the side yard, and that is why we are asking for 2 feet at the side yard. And again, that is not towards the neighbors, that is to the adjacent municipal lot. And that is also, if you know the building now and you look at it from the municipal lot, you see mechanical equipment on the roof, and we are trying to deter that. We want to make this a beautiful building for all to see from all views. So we are relocating the mechanical equipment to the ground floor behind fences and tucked in the corner of the building. As far as the 3 stories, again, the building is an existing 3-story building. I don't want to take anything from the character of the original building, so we just added upon it. And with that, I am taking the 3 stories out over the remaining part of the building and the new addition that we had put on.
What's the existing height on the existing structure?
So, well, I have it in, I have it in elevation numbers. So it is 45.95 feet above sea level, if you will. And what we are proposing is only a 1.17, so 1 foot 2 higher ridge. And that is to get the aesthetics, see it on here, but to the uppermost ridge is only 1 foot 2 higher than what the existing is.
Thanks.
So again, that's to keep the curb appeal all the way around the building from, because technically it's a 3, it has 3 views, from the municipal lot, from James Street, and from Totten. As far as the parking lot goes in the impervious area, we actually did not increase the impervious area. We decreased it a little bit. With the parking lot in the rear, I had taken away some asphalt and put in more grass. And the parking, that was all existing. We are just modifying the striping of the parking lot and a few little curbs here and there in order to fit as many cars on site as possible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then as far as the aesthetics of the building, you can see that it's a Victorian style, similar to what is in the village. So working upon that, we're trying to go for a modern farmhouse type feel. So if you look at the color rendering, we have horizontal siding. We have the drastic gable ends to represent and to bring in the Victorian, and then we lighten it with the white colors. The decorative, the black windows will reflect and appear much nicer as on the white siding. I have the curves of all the roofs to soften up the structure and make it not so gigantic. There are decorative features all over it. We're using a beautiful mahogany wood as the post for the front porch. And again, we're really trying to make this building pop, and you almost want to pick it up and put it on Main Street. So we're trying to give the village as much as we can with this building, and rectify what the beauty of it from 1930.
Okay.
Is there any other questions you have for me?
Well, you touched upon it before. Actually, Michael did. The issue of parking is going to be a big one to us as to how we deal with this. As I said at the beginning, as a professional service type of operation, that's how we define this. That's a big issue because, like I said before, you can't use municipal parking to make up the difference between what you have on the lot and elsewhere. And so, on the other hand, if this was somehow looked upon as a retail service, then of course that opens that up. But if it did, if somebody was to look at it in that way, that would mean you'd never see professional services in this building because there'd never be enough parking, right? That would be the issue. So you'd never see it again as a doctor's office. You'd never see it as a lawyer's office or anything along those lines. So it's a, we're gonna have to noodle on this one. I don't know if, how that affects your plans, Michael. Obviously, it could constrain that going forward. But to me, at least, and I'm just speaking for myself, the rest of the board has their own, feelings about this. That's the issue is trying to get over the parking issue.
Well, if I may, for the parking issue, like we said, 12 people in the class and then one instructor. Sometimes people will carpool to the classes. I mean, it's not necessarily that there's going to be 13 cars in there just for the first floor, but say that there is. I mean, I don't really have an issue if it would make you guys more at ease with putting it in the CNRs, that as long as it's tenant occupies, that would be the parking.
What is he going to do? He's going to have parking police? I mean,
Well, no, but if it's in the covenants and restrictions, I mean, look, I'm not looking to not comply if there's something in the CNRs. Right. I'm just trying to put you at ease about the parking because you mentioned it twice. So,
well, because we don't want, and we see this too. What we don't want is people parking on the street, right?
Taunton does that.
And that's not a.
Yes, Taunton does have street parking. James does pass this building, so there is legal street parking on both. But no, we don't want people parking on the street.
No, we don't want. So we have to figure out something that works here, if it can, long term.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I could be heard. I think with respect to CNRs, if we could limit, again, most retail establishments or whatever are not limited in their hours of operation. We've been told by the tenant it's only certain hours each day, not past 8:30, and there's only a maximum number of people in using the facility at once. And I think that would helpfully satisfy parking requirements. If that maybe that could be a condition as one of the CNRs. Mike, am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I have no problem with hourly conditions and CNRs either. And then, I mean, typically, and let's just take real world, circumstances. If somebody's going to be occupying the apartments upstairs, it's a 2-bedroom. Say it's 2 people, roommates or whatever, and they're coming home from work 7:30. Realistically, there's at 8:30, there's no other cars in the parking lot. There's only 3 apartments, which by code we're allowed 3.5. Obviously, that gets rounded down to 3. But say that's 2 cars per apartment. That's 6 cars. The 13 cars, from the Pilates, that's only 19, and we have 22 spots. I mean, realistically, that would be probably the amount of spots that's going to be used. But obviously, I understand the code book and I understand your concern. But I don't see this as being an issue if we put it in the CNRs for the time constraint and also for the parking constraint as well.
I got something. I'm sorry. So as operating right now as a medical office, technically the medical office itself needed 39 spaces and they only provided 23 at the time. So there was a 16 space deficit with the last use that was approved.
Right. That was only 19 years ago.
Right. And we see that applicant every 3 years.
Yeah, correct.
There are no issues. If there are, then we would take action. And they have. That's a big piece of it too. So beyond CNRs, he has a contingent approval. It's what he's had for the last 20 years.
And I would expect that here too. I was actually prepared for you to say that because I've spoken to that doctor in length about the 19 years that he was there, and I was expecting that to come up. So again, I don't have an issue with that either. I'm not planning on just building this, tenanting it, stabilizing it, and selling it. I want to keep this building, and I love the village. So I'd buy more if there was more to buy. I'd buy more, but. So I don't have an issue with that either. If we put it, say every 5 years or whatever makes the board feel comfortable.
Yeah. John, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, we keep hearing this testimony about the fact that this is like off-peak hours because they're only operating in the morning and the evening. But people are going to be coming into this Pilates studio at between 4:30 and 8:30 when people are coming home from work. So I'm struggling with seeing how that's not going to create a parking conflict. If there's 13 spaces all taken up and people are coming home from work and they can't find spaces in their own lot, that's going to create a problem and people are going to be parking on the street. We really haven't had any, expert testimony regarding the parking to say whether or not it's sufficient. I mean, on other applications, we've had traffic experts provide us testimony or at least a traffic study to show that the parking on the site is sufficient. I don't think it's fair to take into account the on-street parking. James Place is a very busy road, as is Totten. There's lots of vehicle trips up and down those streets every day. And I think the more cars you have parked on the street, the more hazardous it is for, traffic in the surrounding community. So, I do have some serious concerns about, having sufficient parking at this site with these two-bedroom apartments and then a Pilates studio, which they tell us is going to be, limited to 13 people. But at the end of the day, who's going to police that? And who's to say that if they get really, busy, they're not trying to cram more people in there?
Well, again, like the chairman said, if we have to update our permit for that every 3 years or so, and we're getting violation after violation for parking violations, you're not going to update my permit. So that's
right. But then you're putting it on enforcement. You're putting it on enforcement to make sure that you comply with the code. What we're trying to do is we're trying to avoid involving enforcement and making sure that if we grant approvals, that it's not going to create the problems that enforcement has to go out and correct.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I wasn't putting it on enforcement. I was just answering your question as to who's going to police it. That was just what my thought was. And I see that parking enforcement out there every day, all hours. And he's in the railroad parking lot, and I've gotten a couple of tickets myself, in there too. But I mean, I understand your concern. I appreciate it. I think that part of the franchise agreement is that he cannot do more than 12 people. So, you said, what if he wants to cram more people in there? I think part of his franchise agreement is that he can't. That's how this franchise works. I mean, it's a specialty franchise. So they have very strict guidelines. They have a very strict build out. They all have to follow the same things, and they could take the franchise away from the franchisee if he doesn't comply. So,
and his operation is one person and 12 participants.
It's one instructor.
Is one instructor, and then
yes.
Who else?
Let me explain. So let me explain the process, because I went and I watched the process. So the instructor opens the door for the next class that comes in. Everybody comes in. The door gets locked. Nobody can come in while because the instructor is the only one there who opens the door, closes the door, and then instructs the class. So the door's locked. So not more than 12 people can come in plus the instructor. So the instructor is the one that does the head count. If there's money to collects the money, scans everybody in, locks the door, and that's it.
So there's no assistance, nothing.
Half hour in between classes, so there's nobody that's waiting outside by the door. The classes are an hour long. They have a half hour between classes, so it's not a build up outside. I was going to assume that was your next question. So I went to one of his locations, stayed there for 2 classes, watched how it was operated. It's very smooth. I mean, it's very simple. It's very.
Can you give us the address of the 2 that he has?
Sure. If I can, I'll look for you.
Send it to us. Send it to us. You can send it to the clerk's office.
Okay, I'll send it into the clerk's office. Sure. Sure. It's Massapequa and Wantua, but I'll get that there tomorrow.
Yep.
If you guys are open, the snow doesn't prevent you guys from being closed.
Yeah, I don't know about tomorrow, but
yeah, it'll be there this week before the weekend. I'll get everything over to you guys.
Okay.
Any other concerns we can address besides the parking?
Questions, gentlemen? Nancy?
No.
I think we covered it all, Bruce.
I think we're trying to put it all together in our heads, right? I mean, we've all read, we have the documentation from the planning board, and their review of this. We have all your drawings. The rendering, I agree with you. The rendering is a really nice. I like the rendering a lot.
I take pride in Brandon and I. Yeah. He could tell I killed him with this one because we went back and forth so many times. I wanted this to really reflect what the village is, yeah. And I wish it was on Main Street, but it's not.
Let me ask you the other question. Have you had any discussion with the neighbors?
Well, the neighbors are all renters, so right. They're all 2-family houses around there. So typically, yes, I would knock on doors, but I didn't because they're all renters. So, and then to the back is the municipal lot. To the south is 2 renters. To the north is like 6 2-family houses in a row. So no, I didn't knock on any of those doors because they're all renters.
Across the street's all renters too?
All renters. It's all 2-family.
On top?
Right. The 2 right across the street. I actually went up. I saw a gentleman outside one time when I was there. We were just doing when we were in contract and I was doing due diligence. Asked him a couple questions. He said, "Oh, I just I rent here." He was outside in his sweatpants, and I asked him about the neighbor. He said, "No, they're renters. Everybody's a renter." I'm not really too sure if there are any 1-families over there. Brandon, I'm sure you probably did a little due diligence on that, but most of them are 2-family houses that are rentals.
Yeah. All right, I don't have any other questions myself. If none of the members do, then I guess we'll take this under advisement and let you know.
Okay. If there's anything else,
your time.
Yeah, thank you. If there's anything else that you need from us besides the other 2 locations, just let us know. But I will get those to the village before the weekend.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's see. I think we're the only ones. I think we're yep. Okay. So obviously on that one, I'd ask everybody to kind of give it some more thought, go over everybody's got the planning board letter that discusses major issues. Even the issue of whether or not we have an option of considering that use something different than a professional service. You ordinarily think of professional services are more like doctors and things of that nature, which we know with the addition, especially with the addition of the apartments here, which has never worked for that property. So take a look at it. Let's look at it over the next month, and then we can talk. Any questions come up, let us know. We'll get that information out to everybody. If you want to take a ride to take a look at what one of these things looks like, how it operates. We'll see.
I have a question. What would be the max capacity of the class to be able to approve him? because he's saying 12 clients.
Right.
Whether he brings it down to, let's say, 8 clients, is that something doable?
Well, if you believe 12, right, plus 1 is 13,
Mm-hmm.
and he's saying he needs 7 for the apartments, that's 20. He's got 22. That works. And his math.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe that there's never going to be more than 12, right? And you're not going to have classes running into each other, right? That are going to end and start. And if you believe all that, then you can make it. The question is, do you? And then I guess the second question is, if he's not around next year, what's going to go in there that's going to fit? That's his problem, right?
Yes.
That's it. That's his. That's his challenge. And his liability. Not ours, but these things can quickly turn into our liability. Just as John brought up, that if people start parking on the street, he will know it before he does. Right. So that's the difficulty. That's the difficulty. This is similar, in a way to a discussion with the I forgot the name already. A place on Little East Neck Road. Medical doctors.
City MD?
Yeah, City MD.
Oh, City MD. Okay.
So similar kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
We heard something very, very similar. So we'll see.
Right.
So we'll hold that off. Let's go back and see if we can move any of these others forward. First application is Chester and Mary Broman, Melbury Street. Are there issues with this application? Anybody wants to bring up? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, what do you want to make a motion to do?
I would approve then.
Okay, I think that's a good motion.
Mm-hmm.
Any discussion? Okay, have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, unanimous. I think that fits, their needs in a particular situation. Second one, application of James Buller, agent for owners George and Sharon Costa, 5 Midway Street. Now they indicated that they would be able to give us a updated plans that indicated that the side shed that's currently in the setback was going to be moved to the rear and would not need a setback, right? That would not need a variance. So I think we could move this forward as well, contingent upon us receiving updated plans that indicate the variance for the shed will be taken out, it'll be moved, and it'll go in a location that doesn't require a variance. So based on that, is there any discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion on that one.
Make a motion to approve the application with the condition that the applicant provide us plans showing that the shed is to be either removed or relocated to a position that does not require any variance relief.
Okay, I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Application of Claire Greco for Misano, agent for owners Stephen and Kimberly Zorner, 50 Sunplums Place, to install a 12 by 20 foot pool. Any issues with this one?
I think they're doing the best with what they have.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't have a lot of space back there or over there on that side.
Yeah. And I think they addressed your question also, Nancy, about that corner. That seems,
Yes, she was very clear.
that seems to be the best place. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
I'll move to approve the application of Claire Grego for Misano and Stephen and Kimberly Zorner, 50 Sunplums Place, for the permission to install a 12 by 20 foot in-ground pool on the premises at 50 St. Barnes Avenue, per the plan submitted.
Okay, have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Okay, application of Helene and Gordon Field, 21 Nearing. This is for permission to maintain a 10 by 20 foot addition to L-shaped ranch, and also not to maintain a 3-foot landscape barrier between the property lines and the driveway. I think we heard this story. I think one of the things we certainly need to do is make this, anything that we do, contingent upon Steve doing an inspection to make sure this is a safe, structure. But that, I would suggest we could move it forward, unless there's any questions. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve the application based on the plan submitted with a condition that the building inspector verify the safety of the addition.
Okay, I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Good. And then finally is James Street, 38 James Street. As I said before, I suggest there's a lot on our plate with this one. I suggest we give it some thought and we can discuss this, next month. And the issues are very varied here, to whether we think we need all that parking or, given the guidelines or something else or, Okay. Does anybody have any comments on this before we let it go?
Do we need any more information from the potential leasee? Anything about that agreement with, regarding his lease, review of that?
That's a good point. Which probably, Christina, if you're listening, I know, if we can get a copy of the lease, that would be helpful when he contacts you. If you can do that, thank you. Good call. And we'll all get a copy of it. In terms of old business, real quickly, there's no update on Lockwood. Lifetime Restoration Ministries is going supposed to be coming to us. The Planning Board heard them last month. We haven't seen anything with them yet, so that'll be coming up. Terry Associates, 141 John Street, is going back to planning because they've made some revisions to what they originally wanted from us. And the building inspector considered it a major change. Dr. Hertz on the agreement for off-premises parking, that went to David, and he's working with Dr. Hertz's attorney as of last week. They were in discussion. And City MD. So we've received David's letter to the applicant. The discussion I had with him was he felt that we probably needed to add to the docket, and we would do that by requesting the owner or the applicant, for that matter, to allow us to do some additional research. So that's what this is about. Any issues with that? That's all I might poll the board. Okay.
I'm recused on this, Bruce, just
Yep.
so you know. Remember.
Yep, you've got it. Yeah, and on that one, John O'Farrell, you sat in on that one. So you're back on this one. But I think for now, I think we can agree that we'll send that out and see where this goes.
Yeah, I think that was well done.
Yep. Agreed.
Keith Newell, 450 Fire Island Avenue. This is the one I also suggest. I had some discussions with the building inspector. He brought up some additional issues I want to take a look at. And so I suggest we hold this over as well.
Agreed.
For this position. Finally, on miscellaneous business, Mr. O'Brien, 29 Cambridge, came to us last month, and we had sent that to council after that meeting. And then he got back to us 2 days later and said he's requesting to withdraw his request for the extension of 29 Cambridge. And he's going to submit new plans in the future. So we will be sending him confirmation of his request to withdraw. So that's what I have for this evening. Anybody else have anything we need to talk about?
No, that's it.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, and then Kevin, if you could just get back to us, I have a couple of questions. So I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, second?
Aye.
Okay.